Hello. Well, I guess you can watch me do um, some turkey meatloaf. Um, and just, it's really, to me, it's sort of very sad that our Republicans have came to such a place that we are overlooking people being murdered in third world countries. This is ground turkey. So, and our president, I guess he's very involved with a lot of these oil companies and these, the oil companies do not want really for us to change our behavior with the use of oil with our car. They don't want us to go solar. They don't want us to go use wind or water. So they don't want us to use the sun, the wind, or the water for energy. Um, I'm making a meatloaf out of this. Like a pound of this ground turkey, and about a half a cup to a quarter cup of oatmeal. You need a little bit of. I like a little bit of flavor and extra fluid. Let me see if I have what I'm going to use for the extra fluid. Then you can use tomato paste or tomato sauce, which I don't really have. So I'm going to go ahead and just use a little beef broth because the turkey needs flavor. Add a little beef. And that's probably about an eighth to a quarter of a cup. Not very much. A little Worcestershire. And about 2 tablespoons. And just to be ornery, I probably really see, or I'm putting it all in a bowl. So far you just have the beef stock, some Worcestershire sauce, and the oatmeal. And I'm going to go ahead, and this is just a half a Rayan tomato. Making sure this is washed. I'm getting ready to do my dishes. But my really beef is I'm very disheartened, in the Constitution, not in the Constitution, in the Republicans not upholding the Constitution, and the reason they're not doing it is because they really don't understand what's going on in the world. I think that other countries like Japan and China and Taiwan and Korea had invested in educating this generation where we're not educating our kids. We're not, because you can look at that Betsy DuBois. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just saying that they don't have the best interests for what is really needed. And what's really needed to have jobs is what the Chinese realized. Once they're demanding a lot more for a lot of the stuff they're manufacturing. They're manufacturing everything. This is an onion, and this onion is a little old, so watch out for black mold. But anyway, I don't care. So I'm cutting it. I'm gonna cut it up. Some onions. Sort of dice it a little bit. And they're already it's already ready for you to do it. So we have the onions now. This is turkey. This is turkey loaf. So I'm making it a little. What I'm gonna do is freeze this, and then later on, at about for about 375, 350, 375 for about a half an hour. About 45 minutes to an hour. If you had 350, probably for about 55 minutes. If it's at 375, you probably do it for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. So, really, basically, it takes a while for these things to cook. Mixing that up. I got the, and like you always want, I don't know, you always want a little filler or something. And the turkey can be sort of dry, so we're adding fluid. You can add like, I'm just like adding real tomatoes for the real tomato taste because I'm gonna add Parmesan cheese. So give it like a sort of a interesting taste. There we go. Mix it all up. And I'm just gonna add some salt and pepper. And probably like a tablespoon and a half of salt. Maybe that's a little bit. Some ground pepper. To your liking, how's that? And a little paprika. Put this back up. So now I'm just freezing this for later. So mix it all well in good a few times. All the ingredients in there. I don't feel like going outside and getting some fresh garlic right now. So, but you can add that. Better. Is this okay if it's big chunks? So it goes in there. And I have some pepper. I'm not exactly done. I have some cheese I want to put in there. Mozzarella. Get off that onion juice. I'm sure to shape it. And like I didn't even really grease this pan because it's not like when I'm gonna freeze it and then I'm gonna stick it in the oven like I should have already probably about 375 for about 45 to 50 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of take a little bit of the top layer and pull it back. Doesn't matter if it's rough or whatever. I'm going to take this cheese, shape it again around, push it away from the corners, mush it in towards itself. Put that cheese in there. All because turkey needs all the flavor it can get. Now we'll do the other side. Make sure you push it back in. Cut you another piece of that cheese. I'm not really putting a lot. Just like cutting pieces like that big. Sticking that in there. And rolling that top back over. Back on top. Take it, like if you have any extra that's on the side, you know, you just make sure that all that cheese is covered up. So, there you go. And then, like I said, I'm just actually just going to freeze this. My meatloaf. I know I shaped it in here, but I'm gonna wrap this up. Basically, you can still use the aluminum foil when you cook, but I'm gonna go ahead and put a clear wrap around this. we're going to try to keep it from freeze to burn until we decide to cook. You have turkey loaf with mozzarella. There you go. You can always put like a little marinara sauce on top with a little extra mozzarella and some Parmesan cheese too. So that is preparing a turkey loaf. Let's see. Oh, 10 minutes. That's not so bad. We cover this back up. I think right now that we are in a constitutional crisis. I think that the president that we had right now in office is a criminal, and I think that as the FBI has proven that he got elected with the help of Russia, and when he says China, you have to understand Russia. I'm doing my cheese. Russia and China are actually in cahoots in a lot of ways making money. I'm not gonna make money. I already froze me up some turkey burgers. I'll make me a burger before I do dishes. So like right now, like what we're seeing is that the FBI has been really geared to cracking down on really a lot of activity that is, we have big pharmaceuticals have allowed drugs and heroin, and we got a lot of heroin from Turkey, Afghanistan, China, in that area, and we do a lot of business. And I think like what Trump said, oh well, we do a lot of business with these people. We don't want to mess up the business that we do with these people. So we'll do another turkey burger, and I'm gonna do a little fluid. I just like for it to have a little broth, so I'm putting about like a quarter cup, no, an eighth of a cup of broth in there for one of my turkey burgers that I'm gonna make to eat now. The other stuff I'm gonna freeze because I want to rotate the food that I eat that's in there, and next will be fish and then liver. But this is out of order, which I don't care. Just I'm hungry. So the chicken broth in there, and those patties have been pre-made with also oatmeal, Lipton soup mix, and a little salt and pepper. So pretty much that's that. Well, I guess my point today is be prepared. No. Also that our president right now, I don't think that he really planned on being as much in debt that he is. I just think that if you look at sort of our history and our past, like if you look at how the West supposedly was won, is basically there was like a lot of murder, as in the Indians, as in slaughter of the buffalo. I mean, how many antelopes do you see? 0. And to this day, people think that being white or being American is to hunt. Is basically these Europeans, the whites that came over here from Europe in the 16th, 17th, and 1800s and all that. A lot of them came out of the prisons. They didn't know anything about farming, let alone where their food, and you can see with the I guess it is like in the 30s in the plains in the Midwest, like in Kansas plains and areas like that where they had the big dust bowls, and it was a lot because of their slaughtering of the animals, because they were causing a lot of animals to be extinct, and because of their a little education causes somebody to be ignorant, and an ignorant person is very, very hard to teach. And so we have a lot of company ran factories. If you think of capitalism as a way of slavery, and that freedom was a way that you did live off the line. You didn't have to go to a store. You didn't have to go to work to 9 to 5 to cut, so you could have food, clothing, and shelter, which was like the basic needs of a lot of people back in that days. And it was sort of what the Indians had wanted. They wanted to be able, and really with them worshiping lights and everything, and you're hearing like famous people that, oh shoot, I thought I filled this up with water. And like famous people during like the time of Tesla and things like that, where they're finding out ways of using electricity, and he figured out a way where you like you could use the sun, the water, and all this they found out because of them learning from native people in lands that that worship the sun, like the Aztec Indians. But the problem is that it was all about the greed. You can't use, like back then they were like, well, how are you gonna charge the people without it being on a meter? I wish I could remember who said that, but they said it's a Tesla because he was talking about wireless, like what we use today, instead of having all these wires string, telephone wires and stuff like that. And if you look back at some of the Western movies, the cowboy movies, and they're always talking about they're cutting their telegraph lines. Well, these telegraph lines where they sent Morse code through is the same lines that later on the white man found out that you could speak through purely by accident. And so yeah, I think that in a lot of ways the Russians and the Chinese and even the people in the Middle East, they do want the Republicans and they do want this type of white type of rule mentality, white power mentality. Because once you split the country, even if it's down by race, gender, you can split this country up in all type of different little, I guess, portions. And once you are able to do that, then you're really able to, I guess, these other countries like Russia, or, like they think they're going to really like invade, with the white power, and the Russians are one of the people that really proven that some of the ways we treat our children in America is very cruel. Whooping your kids causes a lot of pain and suffering. So a lot of our behavior that we're done, it's not caused the children to be able to be ready to participate in a working society, the capitalist society, So we have failed our kids with our school system. We failed our kids with a lot of the propaganda they hear on what's going on in the world. And it's really, companies now are the most important thing to make money. And we're like $1 trillion in debt. So if the importance of this country is to make money, maintain money, Trump and the Republicans have failed gravely for that simple fact. Because they're very greedy, they're very vindictive, they're very narcissistic, they're very chauvinist, and their greed has them really depending on a lot of corporations. And most of these corporations, we have to admit, had moved out of the United States so they could have a higher profit. And that's like McDonald's, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, and are notably more American companies like Sears, Macy's, and Gimbels, and places like that have folded up to where we have more, Walmarts, we have Kmart's, we have Target, and these stores strictly are bringing in stuff from China, from Taiwan, from Singapore, from Indonesia. You know, the clothes that are manufactured, the clothes that Ivanka and Trump are making overseas are from, you know, these foreign countries over the Far East. So things have shifted because of the greed that a lot of politicians have. You know, it's very for money. You know, it's very easy to sell out for a few bucks and not really caring to find out the real consequences of your greed. You know, they don't really care as long as the money comes in. Now that we have a super PAC and they don't have to tell you about really where the money comes from. A lot of the money does come from that are coming in from companies. Since companies are people, they are coming from China. They are coming from Russia. You know, in a way, and they're doing it by camouflaging themselves in the big oil, in the big gas industry, like in fracking, in the jail industry, like private prison, in our school industry, like, oh yeah, let's have more charter schools. Let's, you know, it's not really thinking about what is the benefiting the country in the long run. What do we need this country, children, to be doing so they'll be in the workforce? You know, that's like, well, that's what China did. That's what Korea and Vietnam did. They started educating their kids. So, like, yeah, they're now making better stuff in their factory. You know, their kids are better educated. Their standards of living for a lot of them have improved 100%. And they educated them enough, and so they're not really sabotaging their own work, you know, because of the self, you know, hate and you know, the shame that it is like to have, especially to be American with a GOP and, you know, and the presidency, you know, that some of the things they're doing that it seems to be so anti. Oh, let me get off of here. It's 21 minutes. Anti the American Constitution, anti reality in the situation. You know, with like the Republicans being against science that we have to change our ways and not be a parasite on this earth and destroying it. Anyway, let me sign out. I gotta check on my hamburgers. I'm cleaning up the kitchen. You probably didn't get a good view. There's a turkey burger. Oh no! Juicy, juicy. To flip that baby. But anyway, let me sign off. It's been 22 minutes. Oh.